What's up guys, welcome back to another video today where we are going to be assessing whether we think Godzilla vs Kong is going to be a worthwhile watch or ultimately a waste of time. But before we get into that, I've got to do a bit of shameful self-promotion, and despite my aversion to Instagram and the way that people use it, I have set up an Instagram for this account, so it's keeping_it_real9. Would appreciate it if people gave that a follow. And I'm updating that relatively frequently, just with miniature reviews of everything that I tend to be watching at the moment. But yeah, follow it or not, subscribe or not, let's tuck into this video. And the first thing I want to talk about with Godzilla vs Kong is actually the use of language in the trailer and the way that it's being promoted and advertised. Because while Godzilla vs Kong is a very simple title, it's actually a very clever title when you look at the linguistics and the implications, or rather the lack of implications of it. Now, we know from screen grabs that people have done from the trailers and deeper analysis that there is going to be the presence of a mecha Godzilla, some kind of robotic man-made weapon built as a solution to these big titans. So while the film is called Godzilla vs Kong, what the film should really be called is Godzilla vs Kong until the third act, when they team up to fight a bigger threat. Because that is inevitably the plot that this is going to follow. It's going to be the same as Batman vs Superman. People have already exposed those parallels. And that is only heightened by the other bit in the trailer where it advertises one will fall. It's not one of them will fall, it's one will fall. And it's going to be the mech, it's going to be this robot. Because Warner Brothers are not going to kill off a big name like Godzilla or Kong, which are, let's face it, big commodities in terms of franchising and films. And I think there would be all sorts of fan backlash if Godzilla or Kong did die, because realistically there's reasons why both of them should win, which also means that there's reasons why both of them should lose. So whatever side of the camp you're sitting in, it's not going to please everyone, and throwing a third party into the mix just kind of removes the awkwardness of having to choose to kill off one or the other. But that aside, is it going to be a good film? Are people going to watch it? 100%. Am I going to watch it? 100%. Am I going to enjoy it more than I probably should? Yes. Is it going to be good though? Almost certainly not. Every single film in this Monsterverse has the same plot, right? Monster appears, humans get scared, realise there's a bigger monster, and so that first monster becomes the hero of the story. It's the plot of Godzilla, it's the plot of Kong, it's the plot of Godzilla King of the Monsters, and it's ultimately going to be the plot of Godzilla vs Kong. So it's the same formulaic structure, just with different CGI, basically. Irrespective of the quality of this film, it's probably going to be a hit, and there will be more to come. But that being said, I'm all here for it. I think the success of this film in terms of people's enjoyment is going to come from how well they manage to do the combat between these two icons. Because that's what we're all here for. Let's face it, we want the plot to be coherent and make sense, because that makes the rest of the film watchable. But we are ultimately there for the 10-minute sequence that will be Godzilla and Kong going at it before realising there's a bigger enemy they've got to face. I think as viewers, we're becoming numbed to CGI now. I don't think it's anywhere near as impressive seeing these beings as tall as skyscrapers, knowing what technology can do, as it would have been to see, Kong back in 2005, which would have been a cinematic landmark in terms of the effects. But regardless, I think visually it will be impressive and fun to watch, and I think that's been evident in the film so far. I kind of loved the less is more approach that the first Godzilla took, because tonally it was more about the suspense and the build-up, and I'm hesitant to use the word, but a kind of degree of realism with how humans would realistically process and respond to a threat like Godzilla. And then contrasting that with Kong Skull Island, I loved the vibrancy of the 70s era, the music, the colour. And when you take those two films together, they don't feel visually coherent, but I loved how Kong Skull Island had a very definitive style of its own. But from what I can tell from this trailer, it doesn't feel visually distinct. I think for me personally, the portrayal of the Mechagodzilla, the introduction of it, and the way it's discussed among the human characters will determine whether I enjoy this film. Will it be a Pacific Rim style mechanism where it felt cumbersome, it felt mechanical, it felt somewhat slow? Or is it going to be some kind of Power Ranger mechanism that moves in some unrealistically agile way? And when we look at the human side of the story, it is still filled with good actors, which is both very disconcerting and very reassuring. You know, Millie Bobby Brown, Carl Chandler, Alexander Skarsgård is an addition here. Rebecca Hall, you know, they're all very convincing actors. And I think convincing actors are what you need when you need to sell a very ludicrous idea or a very ludicrous plot. So we'll see how they kind of reach that balance. It's going to be an entertaining weekend watch. It's not going to blow our minds. It's going to fall into that category of big brainless CGI blockbusters that are the type of film you want to be seeing on a cinema screen. But I think don't go in expecting too much and you'll be pleasantly surprised. That is the way I'm going to look at it. These are the type of films where spectacle transcends substance, and you've got to go into watching these films with that kind of awareness. I'm going in expecting a visually creative and visually impressive CGI fight sequence, and anything more that we get on top of that will just be a pleasant bonus. I think to go in expecting anything more is to set yourself up to be shortchanged. But I'd love to know whether you guys kind of think the same, whether you're more excited or not very excited. Please let me know. You know, are monster mashups your thing, or are they ultimately another corporate cash grab? Let me know. Thank you for watching, and I will be back soon with more videos.